Well, happy Friday, grace and peace to you, my brothers and my sisters. Um, Teddy, if you're here, let me know before I start, and I'll give you the mic if you wanted to talk. If not, I'll go ahead with my schedule. But I was, anyway, it's Friday again, and I'm glad to be here with everybody. Uh, it's been a week where I've been meditating on something in particular that I never thought I would. Earlier in the week, when I was in meditation, a word came to me when I was sitting there, and that word was merit. Merit. Like MERIT, merit. And at first I just thought, well, this is just another one of my passing thoughts that come and go whenever I do sit down and try to meditate. It's not unusual for many thoughts to go through my mind. But that word just kept coming back again and again and again. And I've learned over time to give it my attention when that sort of thing happens. And as I sat there, I found that word just kept coming back to me over and over again, the word merit. Not from a place of endless mental commentary, not from my mind, but it came from someplace deeper. It came from down deep inside me. It was coming to me up out of the depths of my heart rather than my mind. And I've given that word my attention for most of the week. I've contemplated on it. I've sat with it. I've looked at it. And I've spent a big part of the week just becoming familiar with that word. I've looked into it. I considered what others had to say about it. And I made inquiry about what it means and how it relates to me as an individual, as well as a corporate body of humanity. So I felt led to begin to share what I've found with other people this week on the word merit. And I consider myself no authority on it at all. And what I share with you about the word merit are only glimpses of merit in its nature, in its place in our lives. At first, I even said, God, Lord, I don't know nothing about this. I'm not ready to speak about merit. And I was really hesitant to even consider talking about it here because I knew so little about it. Yet the still small voice that I've grown to trust has assured me that I'll learn and I'll grow to understand it more deeply as I share what I know of it, as long as I do it in the right spirit and the right attitude. So I invite you to consider the word merit together with me. The word merit is a multifaceted word. it's got many sides to it. If we look up the word merit in the dictionary, when you consider it, it has a number of different definitions. So it's wise to kind of hold a word like that up to a light, like a diamond, and just turn it and look at all the different sides of it. What does it really mean? You know, what does what is being conveyed when we say the word merit? You know, and what I found as I looked into it this week that word merit was really a common thread in diverse religious beliefs and faiths, all the way from Christianity to Buddhism to Hinduism to Islam, that the word merit has been around quite a while. It's actually that word, the word goes way back in time, but we don't hear a lot about it in today's spiritual circles. But there was a time when it was quite pronounced. It was quite considered a key part of the spiritual life. Like I said, by numerous faiths. So as we look at the word merit, one way it can be defined as like a recognition. When we were kids, if you remember the Boy Scouts, they used to give away what they called merit badges. These little badges that you would get after you completed something, and as a mark of recognition. So we can look at merit and we can look at it as being a recognition for something that we've done, maybe a recognition for something we've discovered, or something that we are, you know, and there's this merit, this recognition that man bestows upon another man. And it usually comes in some sort of a name or a title. You know, it might be a high priest, it might be president, it might be teacher, it could be a number of different things. But I think that if we look deeply into what merit really is, what we'll find is that the merit that's bestowed on us from outside sources, from other people, is really rather shallow. It's rather shallow. But there's a deeper merit, there's a deeper recognition that comes from one's own conscience. There's this worth, this recognition, this foundation for being that comes from life itself, that comes from God Himself. And when we look at it, what merit given to us by others leads to many times is people trying to score points, to obtain praise and recognition from one another, to gain respect and favor with other people, you know. And then we start to pin name tags on each other. And we start to separate, and we start to put this person over here and group this people over here. And the merit that we bestow on one another can really turn sour pretty quickly. Not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that it's something that can turn around and become something that you really don't want very easily. The merit that we get from other people is impermanent. It can't be eternal because people are fickle. People are fickle, and the merit they offer one another changes with their minds because their minds change. So the merit we get from one another, it might have its moment, but in the end it'll leave us pretty empty. It won't really fulfill us. It really can't bring with it a lasting sense of fullness, of wholeness. And because it doesn't bring any lasting sense of fullness, of wholeness, those that seek the praise of men end up in a constant, continual, obsessive cycle of seeking, always needing to be reconfirmed, always needing to be validated. But real merit that comes from the inside, that can give us a sense of completeness, a sense of fullness, in a rest, a peace. Because real merit, it's not about scoring points. Real merit is not about seeking rewards. Nor is it about obtaining possessions or power or prestige. Real merit is not about gaining anything. It's not about getting something. Real merit is really all about being loving. Being loving. It's about being, not getting. So true merit is like a witness to our state of being. It's a witness to our state of being. It's a witness to our state of being rather than something that we add to our being. You can kind of let that sink in a little. True merit is a witness to our state of being rather than something that we try to add to it. We have merit because we are. We have merit because we are loving. And we have merit, we have true merit not because of what we do, but because of what we are. Because of what we are. Because see, beloved, you can do many things. There's a lot of things that you can do. Yet if you do them in the wrong spirit, for ego enlargement, rather than with the intention of love, there's really no merit that comes out of that. I can go give my body to be burned. I can give all my possessions to the poor. I can do a lot of things, but that may appear to be good things. But if they're done in the wrong spirit, if they come out of a compulsion to be recognized by others from the ego, then they're really not meritorious. They are actions and compulsions of the ego to get recognition for what it senses that it lacks. So true merit, real merit, isn't about what we do. It's about who we are, what we are at our deepest level. And then the doing comes out of being. Then what we do comes out of who we are, what we are. We're not trying to become. When the doing comes out of who we are and what we are, rather than a ego trying to be something that it's not, then we flow with grace. Then we flow with ease. There's really nothing to brag about for the ego, because it just comes out naturally. The love just flows out naturally. It comes out of being rather than a laborious attempt to accomplish something. So it's wise to question and inquire of ourselves. Whether we're flowing out of the deepest level of being, of love and compassion, or are we just trying to put on a show and concretize and solidify a body of ego? Because the ego does things to be. The ego has to act to exist. It's a great actor. Yeah, it's a great actor, isn't it? Isn't it? Is it not? It has to do things to be. It has to act to exist. You know, we don't have to do to be when we are loving. We don't have to do in order to be when we are loving. We don't have to do to be when we are loving. Our doing is not a means to an end when we're loving. When we're loving, the doings are the loving things to do. So our doing is not a means to an end when we're loving, but the but when we're loving, the doings are the loving things to do. Because they come out of the love that we are, rather than the person that the ego is trying to become. So the ego is always looking to get merit from what's outside of itself. Just the nature of it. And external merit is all about what we have. What we have. It isn't about who we are. External merit is always about what we have, not who we are. External matter is always about accomplishments, about possessions we've acquired, or some degree of education, or whom we oppress, the prestige we have, the influence and power over others that we have. So external merit seems to always fall in these categories of having possessions or prestige or power. External merit is always about obtaining and getting something so that we can be somebody, so that we can make something out of ourselves, so that we can be someone. External merit is about what men hold dear. But what ends up being an abomination to God to treasure such things as possessions, prestige, and power. It leaves a kind of a stench, a putrid smell on our very being when we hold those things dear. And it's both unskillful and it's distasteful to covet such things. It's obvious when we can see we're coveting such things as possession and prestige and power take us. Look at the state of the world we're in. It's not hard to see why that's neither skillful nor tasteful. Nor to be desired. So true merit is more about what we lose, not what we gain. We already have enough to merit our being. We already have enough. We have enough to merit our being. We already are enough to merit our being. Presence is our inheritance. We need only to receive it unto ourselves with the whole of our hearts. And isn't it beautiful when we take presence to heart? When we receive that as what's simply given to us? So true merit isn't about gaining anything, because we already have everything we need. We already have what merits our being. We already have what merits our being. So true merit is more about losing what comes between us and the consciousness of the oneness that we are with the rest of the body of creation. True merit is more about losing the stuff that comes between us and the consciousness of the oneness that we are with the rest of the body of creation. And true merit sort of arises and becomes manifest in our intimate connection with that body of creation. True merit is recognized and known in humility. Because there's no special other. There's no special person. There's no special other that needs special attention when one has true merit. There's no special other that needs special attention when one has true merit. The special person just isn't there. What's there is true merit. When we have true merit, we don't need that special attention, do we? Just a well done, good and faithful servant spoken in that still small voice inside us, given to us by life itself. That's reward enough for all of our efforts. No one else needs to know. We can give alms, we can give gifts to the poor, we can pray, we can fast, we can do these sort of things in secret, out of pure motives rather than seeking a cloak of external praise when we recognize our true merit. Because with the recognition of that true merit, with the recognition of that true merit, we don't have to seek to do things in order to gain merit. But if we don't recognize the true merit that's not earned, but just given to us by life itself, just given to us by life itself, you have everything you need to merit being. Remember that. If we don't recognize that we have everything we need to merit being, what we'll end up doing is we'll end up praying and fasting, giving alms and doing religious services and social services and political escapades and all sorts of things in order to gain approval from others, because we have not yet gained approval for ourselves with the merit that's innate within us. We haven't touched base with the merit that's innate within us. The merit for being that we inherit from life itself. So true merit is revealed in abandonment of beliefs and of notions and desires to be somebody. To be somebody. And true merit is rather revealed in one just being their self, and just being oneself. Now the world sees merit as making something out of oneself. That's the way the world looks at merit. The world looks at merit as going out and making something out of yourself, making a name for yourself, becoming somebody. But Jesus sees merit completely differently. Jesus sees merit as making oneself of no reputation. Jesus sees merit as making oneself of no reputation. St. Paul, in his epistle to the church at Philippi, wrote this. He wrote, in your relationships with one another, have the same mindset. Have the same mindset, the same attitude, the same way of seeing as Jesus Christ, as Christ Jesus, who being in the very nature of God himself, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness and being found in the appearance of a man. He humbled himself. So we have to ask ourselves, are we comfortable with the merit that life gives us for being? Are we okay with being here just because of who we are, apart from the possessions and the prestige and the power? Can we be comfortable in this world without all the possessions and the prestige and the power? Is that possible? Because only until we can be comfortable in this world without the prestige and the possessions and the powers, it's only when we can be comfortable without those things that we can realize true merit and true peace. So we have to look and say, can we be at ease standing like naked in a group of people where we don't have the clothing of names and titles to wear? Can I just be with people without a name, without a title, without a sense of needing one, of requiring one? Can I be rich without possessions? Can I be rich without possessions? Can I be okay without the power? Can I be okay creating by allowing things to just take their course rather than trying to overpower the world? You know? Can I be okay without the power? And we can consider what it's like when we rely on material things and notions and beliefs to merit our being present, to establish our worthiness to be here. What's that like when we rely on material things and notions and beliefs to merit our presence? It's kind of tough, ain't it? Because we're always looking to gain things to be. And we become uncomfortable with being present when we rely on things to merit our being. What's that feel like when we cling to possessions and power and prestige? What's that like? What's that clinging like? What's that feel like? What does that do to our body and to our minds when we cling to possessions and power and prestige in order to merit our being? Don't we find ourselves feeling fear of losing them? Well, naturally we would, because possessions and power and prestige are all impermanent. They're all subject to change. They're all subject to loss. And because of that, because of the impermanent nature of possessions and power and prestige, the merit obtained by the accumulation of them only adds weight to our being. That makes the heart heavy. It makes the soul obese. It feeds the ego. We become puffed up. With that kind of merit. And that sort of binds us up too. It sort of binds us up. It ties us up. It ties us up when we're looking for merit by what we obtain and accumulate. Our time is given to accumulating things. Our attention is given to accumulating things. Our attention and our time are given to accumulating possessions and power and prestige. And we become slaves to that which we cling to. They end up being our masters. We end up being slaves to the people we cling to. They end up being our masters. And then we find that what we try to control ends up controlling us. So merit can be seen in two ways. One is what I'll call corruptible merit. Corruptible merit that comes from gaining approval of others. Corruptible merit comes from seeking what is outside of ourselves to validate ourselves. That's corruptible merit. And then there's this other thing that I'll call incorruptible merit, which comes from knowing ourselves as being loving. Okay, now catch this. The incorruptible merit comes from knowing oneself as being loving from the action of loving itself. I'm going to say that again. Incorruptible merit comes from knowing ourselves as being loving from the action of loving itself. We know that we are compassionate simply because we're moved with compassion. We're sensitive and able to be touched by the suffering of others. And compassionate, that's not something that you can try to be. Either you are or you're not. You can't try to be sensitive. Either you are or you're not. You can't try to feel. You can't try to be sensitive. You're either feeling or you're not. What you can do is stop trying to be insensitive. Stop numbing yourself. Stop closing your heart off. Stop closing your mind off. Because feeling, being sensitive, is your innate nature. And you gain spiritual merit, incorruptible merit, not by effort, not by trying to be compassionate, not from trying to be sensitive, but simply by allowing yourself to be what you already are. You already are sensitive. You're already feeling. And it's hard not to be sensitive. It's hard not to be loving. It's hard not to be feeling, because it takes a lot of work not to be loving. It takes a lot of effort not to be sensitive and feeling. Because when you're trying not to be, you're trying to be something that you're not. Because it isn't your innate nature to be numb, to be hard. That's not who you are. It's hard to be hard. It takes a lot of work to be hard. I like that. It's hard to be hard. It's hard to be hard. And isn't it though? Isn't it hard? It's hard to be hard. It's hard. It takes it takes a lot of work to harden your heart. It takes a lot of work to concretize beliefs and notions into what we want to call the truth. It takes a lot of work not to see, not to hear. It's hard to be hard. It's hard to be hard. So the compassionate nature isn't something that we work up. It isn't something that we work up. It's not something that comes by works. It's an inherent grace. It's an inherent grace to be you, working its way through you. Now, earlier I said that we take merit and look at it like we hold up a diamond and look at its different sides. And so now I want to change my focus and look at merit and look at how it has to do with what we hold dear and what we treasure. Now I want to look at how merit relates to what we hold dear and what we treasure. Because what we treasure, we grow to be. What we treasure, we grow to be. Okay? Corruptible treasures are things that we add to ourselves. We get back to those 3 P's: the possession, the power, the prestige, the fame, the money, the power. These are corruptible treasures that we can add to ourselves. But they require maintenance, okay? They require maintenance. And because they do, what we do is we end up spending ourselves on our money. We end up spending ourselves on our money. It takes our attention and time that could be put into living rather than trying to gain money in order to gain merit. So corruptible treasures are all about what we're adding to ourselves. But spiritual treasures are different. They come about by what we give up, but by what we release from ourselves. Growing rich spiritually is it's a way of negation rather than addition, isn't it? Yeah. So when I consider merit, I also have to consider what I treasure. Because in a way, isn't merit also known as like a worthiness? Like a worthiness? What makes something worthy of our attention? Worthy of our time? What we say this merits so and so receiving this or that, we look at merit as what makes us worthy to receive. What makes us worthy to receive love from one another? What makes us worthy to receive love from God? Is it money? Is it possessions? Is it prestige? Is it power? Are these the things that make us worthy to be loved by others, to be loved by God, to be loved by ourselves? What happens when we don't have the prestige and the possessions and the power? And we have that belief, yet we still have that belief that we need those things in order to be worthy of love. What does that do to us? How does that affect the way we see one another? You know? There is a Buddhist scholar called Shantideva who wrote a little, I guess it was a sutra called The Way of the Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva. And I found this verse in the sutra. It said, "For destitute," Shantideva says this. He goes, "For destitute of merit, I am very poor. I have no other wealth, and so protector is you, whose wise intentions are for others' good. In your great power, receive them for my sake." And if we look at the verses of scripture before that, in the way of the Bodhisattva, Shantideva goes into it's great detail, talking about all the treasures that he would lavish upon the Blessed One, upon the Buddha, and gets down to this one line. He says, "For destitute of merit, I am very poor. For destitute of merit, I am very poor." Yeah, for destitute of merit, I am very poor. He doesn't say I am destitute of money, I am very poor. Destitute of respect from others, in admiration of others, I am very poor. He doesn't say that. He doesn't say destitute of power over others and influence over others, that I am very poor. He says that destitute of merit, I am very poor. Destitute of merit, I am very poor. So without this merit, this unconditional merit, this merit that's given to us as a grace, as a gift by life itself, and without the recognition of that merit that is freely given to us, we find ourselves to be very, very poor. Keeping that in mind, let's look at something that Jesus said about what we treasure. In the Gospel of Matthew accounts that Jesus said this. He said, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures." Remember that we're talking about, remember once again that we're now looking at how merit relates to what we treasure, right? I said that just a little bit ago. So Jesus says, "Do not store up for yourself treasures on earth, where moth and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." Then he goes on to say that the eye is the lamp of the body. And if your eyes are healthy, your whole body is full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body is full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. You cannot serve God and those and seek merit outside of God. If you're looking to be loved because of the money you have, of the things you have, of the notions that people have of you, of the power or influence you have, if you seek love out of that stuff, you can't do that and also serve God. What God gives you, what life gives you, is that unconditional merit. That merit that comes out of the recognition that you're loving from the loving things that you're doing, that just flow out of your heart, that just kind of happen spontaneously. So treasures in heaven are merit. Their merit as far as what we've grown to be, what we've grown to become, what we've grown to be. And so in the light of that, it's good to inquire, it's good to ask ourselves, what am I growing to be right now? Right now. What am I growing to be right now? Because we're two things. We're two things, are we not? We're always being, and we're always becoming. We're always being, and we're always becoming. That's the nature of life. We're always being, and we're always becoming. So it's good to know what you are right now, and it's also good to know what you're growing to be. It's good to ask ourselves, where are my desires? Where are my desires taking me? Where is my heart leading me? What am I growing to treasure? Am I growing to treasure what's incorruptible, or am I growing to treasure what's incorruptible or what's corruptible? And to sit with that inquiry, and just to be completely, absolutely honest with ourselves about that, you know? Because we can only begin where we are, with what beliefs and desires that we have. And if we believe that corruptible treasures have more to offer us than spiritual merit, we will then find that the desires to seek that which is corruptible will arise from that belief or notion. I'll say that again. If we believe that corruptible treasures have more to offer us than spiritual merit, we will find that the desires to seek that which is corruptible will arise from those beliefs and from those notions. So just to sit here and be with the beliefs and notions that we have and see where they are taking us to, is where we start from. It's where we start from. Are the beliefs and notions that we have drawing us into deeper relationship with being itself? Or are they carrying us away to seek merit in things that are incorruptible? And in the space of meditation and contemplation, in the space of awareness, we begin to see that the desires come from the beliefs. And to change the flow of the desire, the belief needs to be changed. And the belief is changed when we observe and see things in actuality, rather than merely by what they appear to be. Yeah. And when we look deeply at the impermanent nature of carnal treasures, of worldly treasures, of the powers and possessions, the prestige, when we look deeply into the impermanent nature of those things, we can see that the promise that they hold, what they promise us, is really just merely an illusion. And that illusion feeds the desire that perpetuates the suffering. Say that again. When we look deeply at the impermanent nature of worldly treasures, we can see that the promise that they hold is a mere illusion that feeds the desire that perpetuates the suffering. It becomes a cycle of what might be called samsara. So there's this wisdom in really looking deeply and honestly and sincerely at our relationship with what gives us merit. And to see how we end up clinging and grasping and holding to things that hold no eternal promise for giving us the merit, the okay, the validation to just be ourselves without all the names and titles and all that stuff, you know. Here, a Buddhist sutra puts it like this. This comes from the Samyutta Nikaya. That sutra, it says this. If you hold yourself dear, then don't fetter yourself with evil. For happiness isn't gained by one who commits wrongdoing. When seized by the Unmaker, as you abandon the human state, what's truly your own? What do you take along when you go? What follows behind you like a shadow that never leaves? Both the merit and evil that you as a mortal perform here. That's what truly you own. What you take along when you go. That's what follows behind you like a shadow that never leaves. So do what is admirable as an accumulation for the future lives. Deeds of merit are the support for beings when they arise in the other world. Deeds of merit are support for beings when they arise in the other world. Deeds of merit are support for beings when they arise in the other world. We don't take the possessions with us. We don't take the positions. We don't take the prestige. We don't take the power with us when we go to the grave. What we take with us is us. We take with us is us. That's what we take with us. No more, no less. Just us. Just us. Just us. That's what we take with us when we die, when we leave. And remember, I was talking earlier about knowing you're loving from being loving. You know you're loving from being loving. And so it's all that. So what's accumulated by all the loving things that you do, by the loving things that you do, is the consciousness of the love that you are. What's accumulated by the loving things that you do in this life, is the consciousness of the love that you are. One more time. What's accumulated by the loving things that you do in this life is the consciousness of the love that you are. And that consciousness of that love that you are is what you will take with you into the next phase, into the next life. That is what will give you merit. That is what will give you merit when you go into the next stage, you know. What will give you, that's what gives you that incorruptible merit. Not the merit that the world gives. So in this sense, true merit is it's a witness to our state of being. It's a witness to our state of being. I think I've said that earlier. True merit is a witness to our state of being. Merit is that which defines us. Jesus said this. Jesus said, "For a good tree does not bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. Men do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So merit is never about what we add to us. Merit is never about what we put into us. Merit is never about gaining possessions and prestige and power. true merit is never about that. True merit is all about what comes out of us, because it's what comes out of us that defines us. It's what comes out of us that defines us. Keep that thought in mind. I'm going to read this one more time. That it's what comes out of us that defines us. For a good tree does not bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit, by its own fruit, by its own fruit. You are known by not my fruit, not by the fruits of others, not by what others say or do. You're known by your own fruit, right? For men do not gather figs from thorns, nor grapes from bramble bush. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good and evil, not others. The merit comes from inside you, you see. And an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So merit's not about what we put into us. It's about what comes out of us that defines us. It's the things that we say and do that come out of the heart, out of the abundance of the heart, that give us true merit. It's not our opinions, and it's not our beliefs about others. It's not about how much money we can cling to. It's not about how we can manipulate others into agreeing with us or not. What gives us merit is what comes out of what we treasure inside of us. What gives us merit is what comes out of what we treasure inside of us. I like a sutra from the Dhammapada, another Buddhist scripture. It says this from the Dhammapada: evil is done by oneself. By oneself, one is defiled. Evil is left undone by oneself. By oneself, one is cleansed. Purity and impurity are one's own doing. No one purifies another. No other purifies one. No one purifies another. No other purifies one. So the real merit, the real merit can only come out of you. It can't be given, it can't come from the outside. It can only come from the inside. Because it's about what comes out of the abundance of the heart. What comes out of your heart gives you merit, not what comes out of other people's hearts, not what comes out of other people's words. It isn't what other people say or think about you that defiles you or gives you merit. It's what you say and do. It's what you say, what you think, what you believe. It's you who gives you merit, because the merit has been given you to be you. So solidity of character or merit comes out of what you say, not what others do and say. And when you understand this, you can see how Jesus could go and eat and drink with sinners and tax collectors and prostitutes and the like. His merit did not come from the outside, it came from the inside. His merit came from what came out of him, not from who he was in the presence of. Another verse from the Dhammapada says this: your own self is your own mainstay. Mainstay is like a foundation or an anchor, or a pillar. Your own self is your own mainstay. For who else could your mainstay be? With you yourself well trained, you obtain the mainstay hard to obtain. With you yourself well trained, you obtain the mainstay hard to obtain. So this pursuit of true merit is a way to cultivate and develop a wise sense of the self. To discover who you really are, apart from the ego, and who you really are not. So that the godly character can become solidified rather than the carnal ego. And merit is like the knowing of self as one. That this knowing of ourself as one, this consciousness of being one with everything else, accumulates or grows deep as a result of the good deeds and acts and thoughts that we carry throughout our life. Once again, we know ourselves to be loving by loving. I know I'm loving because I love. So the awareness of our oneness is merit in the sense that it feeds itself. Our awareness of our oneness is merit in the sense that it feeds itself. How do I know I'm loving? Because I love. And as I love, my awareness is validated of my being loving. And it just kind of, it perpetuates itself. And it just grows deeper and deeper and deeper, this consciousness of our oneness with the world around us. And being friendly to that world around us. And what we say and what we do and think, that goes on to foster and deepen that awareness. So we can see what we believe because of the fruit we bear. So that we see what we believe because of the fruit we bear. We see what we believe because of the fruit we bear. The manifestations of our being, the fruits of the Spirit testify to what Spirit we're of, right? A loving soul that knows itself to be one with all can freely give of itself without fear of loss, completely liberally, without cause for concern. And when we have that consciousness of that oneness, then we can listen to that voice of life that asks of us to give of ourselves and dispose of ourselves quite easily, quite readily. We can listen to that voice of life that ask us to dispose of ourselves to what it wants quite readily, rather than simply resting on our laurels, rather than just mentally agreeing. Rather than letting that awareness grow and take root in us and bear fruit. Coming close to being done here. Something Jesus said. Jesus said this. He said, "Therefore everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on a rock. The rain came down and the streams rose and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash." When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught as one who had authority, and not as the teachers of the law. And when we have true merit, we see the authority come out of that merit, don't we? And here Jesus was talking about wisdom. Wisdom, hearing and doing. It's not the hearing that gives you merit. It's not the hearing that gives you merit. It's not the learning. It's not the knowledge that gives you merit. It's the hearing and doing that gives you merit. It's the knowing and applying that gives you merit. Merit is a foundation for wisdom. Without merit, without hearing and doing, you do not gain wisdom. Without merit, without hearing and doing, you do not gain wisdom. Wisdom is only knowledge until it's applied. You may have read many books, listened to many teachers, but unless you live what you learn, it's just mere knowledge, and it will pass away with time. But wisdom is born by the application of that knowing, of that learning, into meritorious good deeds in words and actions. So this foundation of merit that's kind of like gained through wisdom, it also fosters and promotes autonomy, confidence in a self-governing heart, the ability to trust one's conscience. We become sensitive to our sensitivity of righteousness via the application of our intuition to what we encounter over time. We become sensitive to our sensitivity of righteousness by the application of our intuition to what we encounter over time. We become not only autonomous or self-governing, but able to back up what we say and do with experience over time. And we gain real authority. Not speaking what we've merely heard, not being a scholar's parrot, not by repeating what we've heard others say. But by experience. Not as the teachers of the law taught. Not that way. Not that way. Not repeating what is written in a book. Not repeating what is out on a CD. Or what some guru has told us. But by experience. That's how Jesus taught. That's how Jesus taught. He taught with authority. 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 Authority that came out of the merit. From the experience. So, the reason we know the path is because we have become the path. We know the path because we have become the path. We know the path because we've become the path. Merit. We know the path because we've become it. And then we can say with Jesus, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. We can consider how a pathway is formed by repetitiously walking in it. Walk down the same path through the grass day by day, and in time it becomes clearly defined and easily seen where the grass is worn away from the steady contact that our feet make with it. The path is formed by repetitiously walking in it. And that's what merit is like. Merit comes from repetitiously loving what is as it is when it's there. Over, moment by moment by moment by moment by moment. And over time, the love that you are becomes clearly defined, just like the path. And it's easily seen that you are love, that that's who you are. And with that, I'll say thank you and namaste. And I will give the mic to Teddy if he wants it.